welcome to episode 17 of the Blue Sky Lounge. I am your host, Tyler Iantkow. Now, the Blue Sky Lounge is a community where people can come and share their blue sky ideas for Disney. Whether it be new ideas for an attraction, a theme park, a restaurant, or even a bathroom concept, we want to hear about it and discuss it. Now, you can subscribe to our show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or on YouTube. And if this is your first time listening or watching on YouTube, welcome. Go back and view our past episodes, and we'd love to hear your comments on future episode ideas as well. This week's episode is about Disney-inspired drinks. Our guest this week is going to be Christine. She's a professional bartender who has prepared Disney-inspired drinks of the alcoholic kind, and I have prepared 7 drinks of the non-alcoholic kind. Please welcome Christine to the show. Well, folks, here we have Christine with us on the Blue Sky Lounge. Christine, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you, Tyler?
Very well, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on. What does Disney mean to you? Why do you feel the way you do about this company?
So I will say prior to working at Disney, I didn't really have any kind of affection toward the company. I did go to Disneyland quite often whenever I would visit Los Angeles. But I would say Disney truly, honestly, now for me means, I guess, family.
Okay.
Because I have encountered so many people from all over the world, literally from, Africa to the Asian countries to Canada, and even here in the US. And it's always wonderful whenever I do get to catch up and meet up with everyone, because these are experiences that only we've shared together and no one else understands, but it's this kind of family connection.
Excellent. So why don't you tell me about your Disney story? Like, obviously you just said that you weren't huge into Disney prior to working there. What made you decide that you wanted to work there?
So I went to Auburn University and I was a radio, television, film major. I didn't know what I wanted to do after college, and I remember seeing just like posters all over campus for the college program. And even though I had an internship under my belt, I kind of said to myself, Disney, that's an amazing thing to have on a resume. And so I went to the little orientation class, whatever it was that they had, and it was fun. It made me feel good, made me feel hopeful, but I was like, I want to do that. Like, this is something that I feel good and confident about. And I'm glad that I did it, because, I went to Disney and I wasn't as obsessed with finding all the hidden Mickeys and Minnies like everyone else was, but I still had an amazing time.
Yeah.
Because if anything, Disney, the business model, is just impeccable, and especially with their guest services, it's unmatched. It's unrivaled.
Excellent. Very cool. So we are talking about Disney-themed drinks today.
Yes.
And as you can see, I do have my assortment here. But I know that we kind of talked about how we were going to make Disney-themed drinks themed to whether it be Disney characters, Disney parks, kind of like Disney magic or experiences. So why don't you tell us what you made for us today?
Okay, so some of the names are kind of a work in progress, but one that I wanted to make, just because I am from Alabama, I am from the South, and so Frontierland always kind of held a special place in my heart, and so I made a sweet tea mojito.
Okay.
And it's just kind of a nice, cooling, refreshing drink, because especially in that hot Florida sun, If there's anything that you need, it's just a nice, cool, refreshing drink. And what's more Southern than sweet tea?
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I remember you telling me about that. I'm like, oh, that is going to be absolutely delicious. Like I will be the first to admit I'm not a huge sweet tea fan, but I think having that sweet tea mixed in with that mojito flavor would be absolutely delicious. So I'm super digging that, and I can't wait to try it out here myself. So I'm very excited for that.
It's really good. If you need help making sweet tea, I got you.
All right, perfect. We'll talk later.
So another one, another drink that I created, I call our beer guest teeny.
Okay.
Just because Disney is so focused when it comes to the guest.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a central idea, like beer guest. And so this drink, it's more of a kind of a martini. So it's up, but if you want it on the rocks, you do you, boo. You do you. But, it's just essentially just a very also nice, refreshing drink with just a hint of kind of I guess like bubbling.
Okay.
So if you want to add a Prosecco, I made my version with soda water just because soda water is something that most people have on hand.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just really bright, refreshing. Also because, Belle, when I think of Belle, I also think of flowers.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a very underrated liqueur called Saint Germain. Hopefully I can say that.
Yeah.
But it is an elderflower liqueur. So, but it just kind of made me think of, I guess, like Belle.
Okay. That's awesome. Very cool.
Another one, which is super easy to make. I know, especially people that love Disney, they had children.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of a play on a cup of dirt, but with an adult twist.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to have vodka-soaked gummy worms with kind of an alcoholic chocolate pudding, some Oreo crumbles, and it's just kind of a fun dessert. Yeah. So, but that is the slimy yet satisfying.
Excellent.
So, especially in homage to our time at Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
So, and then the last one, just because The Mandalorian and Star Wars is so huge right now.
Mm-hmm.
The last drink that I made is kind of an alcoholic blue milk. And for most of us that have seen The Last Jedi, just that scene with Luke Skywalker drinking that blue milk, it's just, it's a little awkward.
That's awesome.
So fortunately, Baby Yoda kind of saved it with the macarons.
Yeah.
But this alcoholic blue milk, so it's going to be very fruity. It's going to have a lot of notes of coconut and pineapple.
Okay, that's awesome.
But yeah, it's just very fruity, nice and creamy. It's a really good drink.
Yeah. One of the girls that Stevie used to work with, when I put out the question, like, what drinks would you want to have on our community page, she wrote back with like an alcoholic blue milk, and she actually got back to me today, and she's like, oh yeah, I just made it, it's absolutely delicious. And she put like all kinds of different stuff in it. I'm gonna talk about it later on in the podcast, but I'm very interested to see like the differences of like the way you went versus the way that she went, or if there are major similarities. I'm very interested to kind of compare and see. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I definitely so with the blue milk, I actually got a little bit creative and tried to make a coconut mixture.
Yeah.
That could easily, if you wanted to make a pina colada, it's something that you could put in a pina colada.
Yeah.
So it does take a little bit of work, but it's super simple, super easy. It does not take a lot of time.
That's awesome. Very cool. All right. So, I mentioned to you that, you know, this is the Blue Sky Lounge. We're all about blue sky thinking, and you did do some blue sky thinking with those drinks. If you could build a Disney-themed bar or lounge or something, what would you want to build? What would you theme it to? What kind of drinks would you have on it?
So, as a bartender, one question that I get asked a lot is, what's my favorite drink to make? I don't have one specific drink that's my favorite, because I like making the classic cocktails.
Okay.
I like making martinis, old fashions, and gimlets.
Okay.
I like drinks that are simple. Because as a bartender, if you ask me to make a drink and I've not made it before and you can't tell me what goes in it, I don't want to make it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll still look at the recipe, but I don't think that most cocktails should be that complicated to where you have too many steps. So I would say if I had a bar, it would probably, I think the best place to have it would probably be at the Magic Kingdom.
Okay.
Just because I know sometimes Magic Kingdom, it almost just kind of seems just so, it makes you think of your childhood.
Okay.
But even as an adult, you know, sometimes you're like, you know, I just want to have like an adult moment. And so if there was just a space where you could have, you know, just a bar where you can have like a martini or an old fashioned Manhattan, I would probably put it probably more like in Frontierland.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really fun to make it kind of a speakeasy.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I think it'd be really fun to make it a speakeasy, and I think that Frontierland would actually be a really great place to put it, maybe over by the steamboat. But yeah.
That's awesome. I love that idea. I think that would be so cool. I have been thinking about this as well. I think one of my top ones would be if they could, so in Frontierland as well, there's the Pecos Bills burger place, which is supposed to be kind of like themed like a saloon, I guess would be the easiest way to describe it.
Squeaky, squeaky.
Yeah, right? Squeaky, squeaky, that's right. Now I gotta tell the inside joke. I don't even remember how that came up, but yeah.
No, all I remember, no. I remember how it came up.
Okay.
So, we were at my apartment at Chatham.
I remember that part.
Yes, and I think that we were doing kind of like a charades type of thing.
Was it?
Yes, and I think you had like a saloon or like old timey kind of, and so you were trying to do the thing with the doors. Yeah. And like squeaky, squeaky.
And all I remember is I did that, and everybody, there was like 6 of us or something, and everybody just burst out laughing, and they're like, "What the is that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, well, I can't tell you now." Then you guys got it, and it's like, okay, so what was squeaky squeaky? It's like, it's the saloon doors when you go.
Yeah, squeaky squeaky. But it made sense, and that's why it's so funny.
Once you hear it, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I get that. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that I do remember that, I do remember that. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think having a saloon bar would be the easiest thing to do. Not necessarily the best though. I think having even if you could have like a theme bar in like every land, I think that would be really fun, because you could have like the Saloon in Frontierland, and in Adventureland you could have like a tiki bar kind of thing by the Tiki Birds, and then like in not Adventure, in Tomorrowland you could have some type of space theme bar. I don't know, like you could have lots of like angular tables and stools and like octagon stools and stuff, and like lots of like neon and purples and blues and stuff. I think that would be really cool. If you could somehow put it right in the middle of Space Mountain and have like a big glass dome that overlooks it, you can like see up inside it, that would be really cool. And then with Fantasyland, I think you need like a wine bar almost. Like put it kind of over in like the new Frontierland area, kind of like by Gaston's Tavern, and have like a wine bar themed to like Beauty and the Beast. Or you can just make Gaston's Tavern into a tavern.
Right.
Like one that actually serves alcohol and stuff, but not just like, Le Fou Brew, which is not alcohol. All right. Well, Christine, I really appreciate you coming on to the show today. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I really hope that you'll come back on sometime.
Yes. And, honestly, I think that this is a really fun idea with the cocktails. And I would actually love to know more about the drinks that you have made.
You'll have to watch the podcast when it comes out.
I know, because the Little Monsters Inc. with Mike and his eye with a googly eye, like that's my favorite.
Excellent.
So,
yeah, so it should be coming out tonight. Maybe.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Then most
if
of
not, it's okay.
I
said if not, it's okay.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. Well, thank you so much. And I really appreciate it. And we look forward to chatting again.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you for having me. Have a good night.
Thanks again, Christine. Now, all of the photos of these drinks will be on our website, theblueskyloungepodcast.com. Now let's get to my drinks of the non-alcoholic variety. First, we have our Safari Sunrise. I used to drive the trucks at Kilimanjaro Safaris, and we got up early to get the show rolling. My absolute favorite thing was to experience a Florida sunrise over the savannah. This drink is made of equal parts pineapple juice, orange juice, and cranberry juice. Then pour a splash of grenadine to taste over the back of a spoon. Next is a family of drinks. I call them the Monsters Incorporated. For our Sully drink, take a bowl of crushed ice and mix in 1 or 2 drops of blue food coloring. Do the same to a smaller bowl of ice, but mix in purple food coloring. Place back in the freezer for 5 minutes. Pour half a glass of Sprite and slowly add a handful of the blue ice. Sprinkle in some of the purple ice, then more blue ice. You should have a marbled effect of blue ice with stripes of purple, just like Sully's fur. For the Mike Wazowski, this recipe calls for a ginger simple syrup, which we made by adding equal parts water and sugar to a saucepan and mixed in 3 chunks of ginger. While we let it reduce, we blended up half a honeydew melon. When everything was prepped and ready, we muddled a small handful of mint and poured in 8 teaspoons of the ginger syrup. We added the juice of half a lime and the honeydew puree, then mixed everything together. Be sure to add the googly eye to the front of the glass. Now our Mike Wazowski drink is very refreshing with the honeydew and the mint in there. Will keep you nice and refreshed on a nice warm day. My personal favorite of the drinks that we made, I like to call the Black Widow. For the Black Widow, we modified a Shirley Temple to make this feisty Marvel superstar. Simply add Coke or Diet Coke to a glass of ice and pour in grenadine to taste. We added a red glow cube to add to the effect. Next, we have our Light Side Dark Side iced coffee, inspired by Star Wars or Star Tours. The Light Side Dark Side is really simple. We made a basic coffee which we cooled off with ice cubes. We then poured equal amounts of coffee and milk or coffee creamer into a glass. I like to add chocolate syrup and a teaspoon of sugar to my coffee before I cool it to make a mocha. And if you're feeling a little extra, you can add a globe ice cube before you pour in the coffee mix. That's no moon. Now, if you're really looking for something colder to drink, you could always go with a nice milkshake. This is our Ralph Wrecked My Milkshake. For the Ralph Wrecked My Milkshake, take 2 scoops of chocolate ice cream and blend it with a splash of milk and chocolate sauce. When it is a liquid, add 2 tablespoons of red velvet cake mix and a few drops of red food coloring. Top it off with whipped cream and crushed Oreos, and you got yourself a wrecked milkshake. Very nice, not too sweet, which is really good, nice and refreshing. Very chocolatey, which is really nice. If you're a big chocoholic fan, that is definitely going to be the milkshake for you. And lastly, the pixie dust. The pixie dust is my wife's favorite. It's quick but magical. You pour out Sprite into a glass, then add a pinch of edible pearl dust or glitter. Mix it in with a spoon and watch the pixie dust spin. Now the pixie dust is really nice. With that pearl dust in there, it does not change the flavor of the Sprite at all. You still get that lemon lime citrus flavor coming through from the Sprite, which is really nice. It's very refreshing, and it's really fun to be able to look into the drink and see that pearl dust inside of there that does look like true pixie dust. It's a lot of fun. You might have remembered me telling Christine earlier that our friend Sabrina also made a bantha milk. Hers was not too bold of a flavor with just pineapple juice. She did a double shot of blue curacao to get a bit more flavor and that deeper blue color. Everything should be shaken with ice and then strained into the glass. Sabrina also had the idea of making a cocktail based on Iron Man. You could have a cherry red grenadine layered under a Goldschlager with 7-Up. The contrast of the red and the gold could be the suit, plus you get the bonus of drinking gold flakes. And that's a wrap for this week's show. I hope you found all of these different drink ideas very refreshing. Now join us here next week as our guest Gemma and I are going to discuss the great movie ride and what we would like to see have happened if it had not been taken out. Now if you have any ideas for today's or a future episode, leave a comment down below or email me at theblueskylounge@gmail.com. We're also on most social media platforms by searching The Blue Sky Lounge, and don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. And if you do like our show, please feel free to share it on your social media. And don't forget to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Now please note that the Blue Sky Lounge is not affiliated with Disney in any way. This is a fan-run show featuring fan ideas and is in no way any true representation of what may or may not happen with Disney in the future. Now thank you so much for taking the time out of your week to join us here on the Blue Sky Lounge. And just remember to think, dream, believe, and dare yourself to use your imagination. Who knows what kind of blue sky thinking you can do from your armchair or kitchen. Thanks.